En este video vas a ver una conversación completamente en inglés, en donde vas a practicar tu oído, tu escucha algo enormemente. Porque esta no es cualquier conversación. He entrevistado a un amigo mío que se llama Michael, que es de Liverpool, Inglaterra, que tiene una historia extremadamente interesante. Fue jugador profesional de fútbol, jugaba con uno de los mejores equipos del mundo, Liverpool. Ha viajado por todo el mundo, ha vivido en Nueva York, en Los Ángeles, en Miami, y en este tiempo pasó muchas cosas en su vida.
And I was in the stadium and I survived when 96 people got crushed to death. And I looked down and on my right foot there was this kid, he must have been my age, 16, 17, blonde hair, his eyes were rolled back, he was frothing at the mouth and he basically took his last breath on me. I basically went on a bit of a spiral and then I went on this journey. I went to jail and then it got worse. I was doing cocaine, I was drinking a lot of alcohol, and it was just a really bad situation.
Entonces en esta entrevista vas a escuchar una conversación 100% genuina en inglés, que estoy segurísimo que te va a encantar. Ahora, si no entiendes muy bien inglés todavía, no te preocupes, puedes colocar subtítulos tanto en español como en inglés, como tú prefieras. Mi recomendación, desafíate un poco, pon subtítulos en inglés primero. Si hay partes que no entiendes, vuelve atrás, pon subtítulos en español para que entiendas esas partes. Y a medida que la entrevista va, voy a hacer pausas y explicarte expresiones, gramática, vocabulario, idioms, verbos frasales, todo el inglés que estamos usando en la conversación que puede ser complicado para ti como principiante, te lo voy a explicar para que entiendas mejor la conversación. Espero que te vaya a gustar mucho. Yo soy Kale Anders, tu coach de inglés y tu sueco favorito. Empecemos. Michael, thank you so much for taking your time.
Pleasure.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, how are you?
I'm great. And this is very interesting because you have a very peculiar accent.
Yeah.
Right. You're from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's me, but it's kind of similar to Irish.
Yeah, people say that a lot.
Why?
Irish, Scottish, you know what, I don't know. I think the only thing I can think of is where I come from, there's a lot of Irish immigrants.
Yes.
And it's super close proximity to England.
Yes.
Ireland. That's the only answer I've got.
That's the only answer I've got. I've got es lo mismo que decir I have got, que también es lo mismo que decir I have. It's the only answer I have. It's the only answer I have got. It's the only answer I've got. Todo significa lo mismo, es la única respuesta que tengo.
That's the only answer I've got because I've never looked into it too deeply. So, but yeah, I lived in America 14 years.
Yeah.
And I think only on a couple of occasions people would say, "Oh, you from Liverpool, England?"
Yeah.
So it's very rare. So I'm used to getting Irish, Scottish, or Australians, the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't get.
Which I don't get. I don't get it. No lo entiendo. No entiendo porque piensan que soy australiano, porque el acento es totalmente diferente de mi acento, es lo que dice. I don't get it. No entiendo. Y that's what I don't get. Eso es lo que no entiendo.
Yeah, which I don't get, because
No.
if you listen to an Australian guy and listen to me,
no, that's completely different.
No, I'm not accepting that one.
Were you born in Liverpool?
Yeah.
Okay, and you
Yeah.
lived there your entire life?
Yeah,
And you started playing football as a young kid,
yeah,
and you worked your way up
yeah.
in FC Liverpool. What
Yeah.
is it called?
Liverpool FC.
Liverpool
yeah,
FC.
So we
Yeah.
would say it the other way around, but
Yeah.
in foreign countries, they would say
Okay.
maybe FC Liverpool, yeah.
Nice.
So it was a dream because that's where I'm from, the team I support.
The team I support. We support teams. Apoyamos a equipo. I support Liverpool. Significa que Liverpool es mi equipo. I support Liverpool. Yo apoyo a Liverpool.
So it was a dream because that's where I'm from, the team I support. So to be there for 10 years
Yeah.
was probably one of the best experiences of my life. Because as a kid in England,
Yeah.
you know, because you're European, you know how important football is.
Yes.
In all those countries, we're
Yes.
fanatical. And most kids, if not every young boy in England wants to be a football player,
Of course.
for sure.
And so when did you feel like it took off for you? When did you feel it took off? Took off es el pasado de take off, que significa despegar. ¿Cuándo despegó tu carrera? And so when did you feel like it took off for you?
Well, I was signed at Liverpool when I was like 8.
I was signed at Liverpool. Yo fui firmado en Liverpool. Así es como se dice cuando se refiere a que el club de fútbol me contrató. I was signed. Yo fui firmado. Yo fui contratado.
Well, I was signed at Liverpool when I was like 8.
8.
Yeah, 8 years old. Because what they do, even more so now, and I happen to know because I've got friends in the game still, and the big clubs sign kids at 6, 5 and 6.
Wow.
Yeah, so a little bit different when I was growing up because obviously I'm a bit older now. But they get you young and then, you go into like the youth setup, the academy, etc. And then obviously if you're good enough, you progress. And I think another important thing to mention is if you're any good, so when you're playing it in any club. If you're any good, they play you up.
They play you up. Quiere decir que cuando eres muy bueno jugador de niño, te suben niveles o te suben de edad. Entonces, si tienes 10 años y eres muy bueno, te suben a jugar con los niños de 12 años. They play you up. Te levantan, te suben.
If you're any good, they play you up.
Yeah.
So I always played up 2 years.
Yeah.
So for me, that was always a tell.
That was a tell. Eso fue una señal. That was a tell that I was doing good. That was a tell that I was doing well. That was a tell. Eso fue una señal. A tell, una señal.
That was always a tell.
Okay.
That I was obviously doing okay.
Okay.
But you never know how it's going to turn out. It's obviously, yeah.
And then what was the top level you reached?
So I played at Liverpool. I played in the pre-season in the first teams and stuff. So at the time, Liverpool were the best team around. So if you put the equivalent to now, you would say Man City, Man United for a long time,
Yeah.
Arsenal. So that was Liverpool when I was there. So it was super difficult to get into the team. So
Yeah.
then I dropped down a league.
I dropped down a league. Bajé una liga. Entonces bajó de Premier League, que es la primera liga en Inglaterra, a Championship, que es la segunda liga en Inglaterra. Dos ligas extremadamente competitivo y mucha gente dice que es el mejor fútbol del mundo.
So
Yeah.
then I dropped down a league.
Yes.
Played in what's called the Championship.
With Liverpool or?
No. So obviously Liverpool Premier League.
Yeah. But they have reserve teams in championships.
No, that they play in a different league altogether, actually.
Okay.
But the Championship's still super high quality, super
Yes, of
competitive.
course.
A lot of Premier League teams go down to that division and then some come back up straight away.
Yeah.
But I also played against Premier League players all the time, international players.
Who was the best player you ever played against?
Played against Ryan Giggs, David Beckham numerous times.
Wow.
Ruud Gullit. Some people might not remember him,
Yeah.
but if you look at the Ballon d'Or winners,
Ballon d'Or winner. Hay un premio en el fútbol que se llama Ballon d'Or, que prácticamente es el premio para el mejor jugador del mundo cada año. Y Michael jugó contra un ganador de ese premio.
you look at the Ballon d'Or winners,
Yes.
and you go back to 1989,
Yeah.
show my age. He was the World Player of the Year when I played against him. So
Oh, wow.
that was amazing because it taught me a lot about what the top players do
Yeah.
within the game
Yeah.
and how smart they are, because I don't think people realize when they're watching a game on TV,
Yeah.
it looks easy,
Yeah.
but the best players make it look easy,
Yeah.
and they think quicker in the mind. Someone asked me when I played against the elite players, what's the things that separate them?
Yeah.
And there's two answers. Fitness is completely different to what you would imagine. They're
Really?
so fit, and speed of thought.
Speed of thought.
Yeah.
Speed of thought. Velocidad de pensamiento. Él dice que lo que más distingue a los mejores jugadores de fútbol es qué tan rápido piensan. Antes de que les llegue la pelota ya saben qué hacer y han calculado todo. Para él esa es la gran diferencia.
And speed of thought.
Speed of thought.
Yeah. So for me, speed of thought, because everyone should be fit. If you play sports,
Yes.
you and I go to the gym. So we're fit, but that's a given.
That's a given. Eso es obvio. Es obvio que los mejores jugadores de fútbol tienen alto nivel de fitness, pero no es tan obvio qué tan rápido piensan y qué tan inteligentes son los mejores jugadores.
That's a given to be fit, but speed of thought on the pitch is the number
Yeah,
one.
to predict what to do before
Yeah.
you get the ball and everything.
Yeah, and that's what the best players do. So when you actually get more time
Yeah.
when you're playing against the best players, because I've played in pickup games where people have asked me to play in a charity game, for example.
Yeah.
You get no time at all.
Yes.
I had more time playing when I played against the international players.
You mean more time with the ball or more time in the game?
They give you more time in general. So the way it's set up, playing against the best players, if you got a good first touch, for example, if you know anything about football, first touch is super important.
First touch. Primer toque. El primer toque en el fútbol es extremadamente importante. Cuando te llega el balón, ¿qué haces con ese primer toque? ¿Cómo mueves el balón? ¿Le das un pase de una? ¿Le mueves a un lado o al otro? ¿Qué haces con ese primer toque? Eso es una de las cosas más importantes en el fútbol como jugador profesional. Tener un primer toque impecable.
If you know anything about football, first touch is super important.
Yeah.
If you're competent with the ball, you actually get more time on the ball.
Yeah.
But the minute you're off,
Yeah.
they're on you.
Because they don't want to waste their energy because they know that you're gonna.
It's
you're gonna
anticipation.
It's anticipation, right?
Yeah.
I loved when I played football all my life, and I loved playing against technical players. I'm a technical player.
Yeah.
I was good with the ball and things I had a terrible cardio. That was what got me. But what I loved was playing against the good players because it was kind of like a mutual respect. You
Yeah.
know, they wouldn't be too greedy to get the ball, and I wouldn't be. It was it was a more beautiful game.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
But if you notice, if you play against a lower level type player, or you go to the park
Yeah.
here in Medellin and you play a pickup game,
Yeah.
A pickup game, un juego en la calle, un juego no organizado. Sales al parque, hay gente ahí, empiezan a jugar. Sin planear, eso es un pick-up game.
you play a pickup game.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. So that surprised me
yeah.
initially, but yeah, I think the other thing is if you're a good player yourself,
Yeah.
the good players make you even better.
Exactly.
So there was a time when I played against, like I say, that Ruud Gullit against Chelsea, for Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge in London.
Nottingham Forest, un equipo de fútbol. Stamford Bridge, el estadio de Chelsea. Es uno de los mejores equipos del mundo. Él jugó ahí. Impresionante.
For Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge in London. And before the game, I'm thinking I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm standing next to this guy, he's the World Player of the Year, and I'm like, who am I? Type of scenario. I had all these doubts.
I had all these doubts. Tenía todas esas dudas.
I had all these doubts. But it was interesting because my mentality went from that to, they say about crossing the white line.
No.
So when you cross the white line,
When you cross the white line, cuando pasas la línea blanca. Eso quiere decir que cuando sales del vestuario, están los dos equipos listos para empezar a jugar y cuando pasas esa línea blanca, que es donde empieza la cancha de fútbol, ahí es donde salen todos los nervios. Y boom, modo de guerra.
so when you cross the white line,
When you go out.
all the fear left me.
Yes.
And I played the best game I've ever played in my life. And a funny story behind that as well.
Yeah.
So my agent calls me the night before the game. So we'd played on the Saturday and we had an off week, so no midweek game. So all the players decided to go out on a Tuesday night. And back then,
Go out to party.
yeah, go out to party. Because back then, it's not like it is now. It's a lot more strict with the alcohol. But when I played, people drank a lot more in
Yeah.
between games. So
When was your prime? Was it late 80s, 90s?
When was your prime? ¿Cuándo fue tu mejor momento? ¿O cuándo era tu mejor época? When was your prime?
When was your prime? Was it late 80s, 90s?
So, when was I born? 73, I'm doing my age now. So, 89, I was 16, 17. So, yeah, it was like 90s.
90s.
90s was like my main time. So, we go out. I get a phone call at like 6 in the morning. I'd not long come in.
Yeah.
So, I'd been out partying with all the boys, and my agent called me and said, Nottingham Forest want to sign you. They were in the Premier League. It was £500,000. So if we're doing the math, maybe $1 million at the time, maybe more. I'm not sure.
And how much would that be today? That would be. a
Oh,
lot
if you're
more.
talking, say 1990,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more than that. So the 90s, if £1 million then, I'm not sure. We're about 30 years on.
Yeah.
So it was good money. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of proud of that.
Yeah, of course.
That maybe someone thought it was valuable. And
But they called you and say, hey, they want to sign you and you have to play.
they
as well.
put an offer in. They
Okay.
put an offer in, but they also wanted me to play, which I found a bit strange.
The same day?
It was the next day.
Oh.
Sorry, it was the same. No, I got up. My agent called me. He said, "You got to be at Nottingham Forest training ground because you're playing tonight against Chelsea. They put an offer in last night."
Oh, shit.
So yeah, so I'm like, oh my god, I'm hungover basically.
I'm hungover. Tengo resaca.
Oh my god, I'm hungover basically. So that was another reason for me panicking before the game.
Yeah.
But I think the adrenaline kicked in.
The adrenaline kicked in. Me pegó la adrenalina.
I think the adrenaline kicked in.
Yeah.
And then, as you know, with what you do for a living, it's the practice.
Yeah.
So all that practice pays dividends when it really matters.
Practice pays dividends. Dividends son dividendos, lo que empresas pagan de su utilidad a sus dueños. Entonces, una expresión en inglés decir it pays dividends. Entonces, la práctica te da un retorno, ¿cierto? La práctica es lo más importante para desarrollar cualquier capacidad en la vida, ¿cierto? Practice pays dividends.
All that practice pays dividends when it really matters. And I've always said to people, the more nervous you are before a big event, the better you do, I think.
Yeah.
Because I noticed as time went on in my career, if there was no nerves, it was a bit of complacency.
Yes.
And I don't think you perform as well. I'm sure you would agree,
Yeah.
with the way you live as well.
And how did it go in the game?
How did it go in the game? ¿O cómo te fue en el partido?
And how did it go in the game?
It went really well. I was really happy with the way I played. I think...
You're a midfielder.
Yeah, I
You
was a
were a
midfielder, yeah. But I don't like talking about myself, to be honest. So,
Myself. Así dice la gente de Liverpool o de Irlanda. Myself, en lugar de myself.
I don't like talking about myself, to be honest. So, but I will say I was obviously a good player. I was talented. I was technically really good. I was really quick. And I go back to saying when you're playing against good players, they just enhance you more. That's my belief.
Yeah.
So if you're a good player and you're playing with good players, they make you look better as well. So it was great. I think we lost the game 2-1, if I remember. I set up the goal for us.
I set up the goal for us. Yo configuré el gol. Yo fui responsable del gol. No hice el gol, pero fui yo que hice los pases importantes para que el gol se sucediera. Me explico. I set up the goal. Yo fui responsable del gol. Cool.
I set up the goal for us.
Yeah.
Came away. My dad was in the stadium. He drove down from Liverpool, which is a long drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really, really good experience.
Yeah. Nottingham Forest is a London club?
No, Nottingham Forest is kind of the middle of the country.
Okay.
So you have, Liverpool's in the north, London's in the south, Nottingham's like middle.
Okay.
And it's it was a nice place to live.
Yeah.
The people nice and stuff. But
Yeah. They're in the Premier League now, are they?
in the Premier League, they stayed up, I believe.
Yeah.
I checked the results at the end of this season, and I think they stayed up. So yeah, I've got a bit of affinity for them.
I've got a bit of affinity. Tengo algo de afinidad por ellos, por el club Nottingham Forest, en la ciudad de Nottingham donde él jugó. Afinidad, amor. Tengo algo de amor por ese club, obviamente.
Yeah, I've got a bit of affinity for them.
Of course.
Um,
How long were you playing? Did you play there?
Well, actually, what happened was they did a deal. I can't really talk about the money, can I? Maybe. What shall I tell you? So anyway, the deal was this. It was £4,000 a week.
Yeah.
4-year contract with pounds for each of the 4 years. So the 4-year deal was £1 million.
Yeah.
So I remember going into the training ground for the team I was playing against, and my manager was a former Chelsea player, a guy called Kerry Dixon, England international. And he brought me into his office, and we all thought the deal was done. So everyone's like really happy for me. The manager's saying, good luck, you deserve it, you're going to do great. And there was about a week in between everything getting settled. So we had a behind closed doors practice match.
Yeah.
And the manager, Kerry Dixon, says to me, just play 20 minutes to keep your fitness.
Yeah.
And I tore my hamstring.
I tore my hamstring. Me rompí el tendón de la corva.
And I tore my hamstring.
Oh, shit.
So the deal ended up being off. I was out for like 3 months. I couldn't get fit again because I'm not sure if people know this, but when you tear a hamstring injury and you're a quick player, it has a terrible effect because it's a mind game.
Yeah.
And you're scared to explode.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was kind of devastating, and it was a bit of like, from what happened in my younger years, which I'm sure we'll talk about what happened to me when I was younger.
Yeah.
I kind of went on a little bit of a down.
It went down from there.
Yeah.
How old were you at
I was
that time?
probably at the time. I think I was 28.
Yeah.
So I kept playing longer, but I don't think I ever got over that.
I don't think I ever got over that. I don't think I ever got over that. To get over something quiere decir superar algo. Él dijo, no creo que nunca lo superó, su lesión. Y desde ese momento, cuando tenía 28 años y se le rompió el tendón, su carrera empezó a bajar un poco.
I don't think I ever got over that.
No.
Because I also have a friend, he played for the championship team, and Liverpool wanted to sign him.
Yeah.
And it was a similar type of deal in terms of what they offered. And he got injured, and his deal to Liverpool went off and didn't happen. And he never got over that.
No.
So, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. That must be tough. And so after you stopped playing football, you went to the US.
Yeah, but the thing what happened with me was, so I'll just be really transparent about my story. When I turned professional at 16, there was a big incident in England where a lot of people died in a football match. I'm not sure if you know about it. No, it was a stadium. The team was Sheffield Wednesday. It was Hillsborough.
Okay.
It's very well known. If you just Googled Hillsborough tragedy, you would still see it now.
I've heard about it.
And I was in the stadium, and I survived when 96 people got crushed to death. And there was me and my dad and his friend.
What happened? The stadium fell apart.
What happened was they let too many people. So back in the day in stadiums in England, behind the goals, you would have what's called terracing.
Yeah.
And then at the sides, you would have all the seats.
Yeah.
So it was quite common in England.
Yeah.
They let too many people in the one space. And very quickly, people started to, get crushed.
They were jumping and stuff in the floor.
Yeah, it wasn't my memory of it. it was so packed in there, not even everyone was jumping. It was right at the start of the game.
Oh.
And you could tell I was, it's really difficult even now. It's a long time ago and I've done therapy around it and stuff.
Oh.
But it's still difficult to, like, in the mind think. I just remember not being able to breathe, and my dad was behind me and he was saying, just breathe, just keep breathing.
You were in that
we
area?
were right in the middle of it. And then all I remember basically, and this is the hardest part, it took me years to tell this to anybody, is it cleared out and there was dead bodies everywhere. And I looked down and on my right foot there was this kid, he must have been my age, 16, 17, blonde hair, his eyes were rolled back. He was frothing at the mouth and he basically took his last breath on me. And it took a long time for me to like get over that. So I basically went on a bit of a spiral, a big spiral after that.
Yeah.
I went on a bit of a spiral. Empecé a ir en un espiral hacia abajo. Es una expresión en inglés que quiere decir, desde ese momento, mi estado emocional fue para abajo. Después de ese incidente en Inglaterra, en un estadio, muy conocido ese incidente, había demasiada gente en el estadio que todo el mundo se aplastó y 97 personas murió, pero Michael sobrevivió. Si quieren saber más de este incidente, pueden buscar en Google Hillsborough Disaster y ahí explica qué pasó durante este partido de fútbol en 1989, que fue un gran desastre y causó obviamente noticias en toda Europa por el incidente.
I basically went on a bit of a spiral, a big spiral after that.
Yeah.
Just like mentally, and I wouldn't. This is the thing now I tell people now I'm a sober guy, is if anything happens to you, you've got to seek help immediately because it just manifests.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people know, but trauma stores in the body.
Okay.
And I remember being really angry and I had this career and I'm convinced, to be honest, that my playing career masked all the pain.
I'm convinced that my career masked all the pain. Estoy convencido de que mi carrera enmascaró mi dolor, o cubrió mi dolor, o detenía mi dolor. Que él tenía mucho dolor por causa de ese accidente y nunca lo superó. Y que su carrera, siendo jugador profesional de fútbol, enmascaró ese dolor que él vivió a los 16 años en este desastre.
I'm convinced, to be honest, that my playing career masked all the pain.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to lash out all the time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to lash out all the time. Solo quería que todo ese enojo saliera de mí.
Because I just wanted to lash out all the time.
Yeah.
Even on the pitch, I was just really angry and I didn't really know why. But because I was young, I had this mentality, well, I'm a professional athlete, I'm mentally strong.
Yeah.
But it was only when I got older I realised it had nothing to do with that.
No.
So now I tell people, because I'm involved in a lot of groups with other professional athletes who've been through some things, and we say to people, you've got to get the help.
Yeah. Wow.
Because otherwise it's just going to stay with you until you do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And when did alcohol come into the picture?
When did alcohol come into the picture? Come into the picture significa aparecer en la vida o presentarse en la vida. When did alcohol come into the picture significa cuando se presentó el alcohol en tu vida.
And when did alcohol come into the picture?
It was basically at the end of my career. It was towards the end. Like I said, there was a drinking culture. And when I look back now, I knew I had a bit of an issue. But then in England,
Yeah.
as you probably know, it's a drinking culture.
Yeah.
You know, like many countries really. But England's known, you know, we drink. And it just got worse and ended up being really bad in England. And what I know now in recovery is I did what's called a geographical, whereby you're living in Sweden or you're living in England and you got some problems and you blame, I don't want to live in Stockholm or I don't want to live in Liverpool or London.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave. So that's what they call a geographical in recovery terms for addiction. So I went to New York because I was retired by then.
Yeah.
And as an Englishman, I always had this liking for New York City, the Big Apple.
Yeah.
So I went there and then I was okay for a while and then it got worse. You know, I was doing cocaine, I was drinking a lot of alcohol, and it was just a really bad situation.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got married in New York, and I realised, okay, I need to stop doing cocaine.
Yeah.
It's not doing me any good. So me and my wife moved to LA because I had the means, the finances to do that.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened. It was blame New York, it's no good here. We went to LA.
LA, Los Angeles.
We went to LA. And thank God we ended up in LA because LA is probably the best place that I know of in the world for recovery.
Yeah.
So I ended up in a recovery program. Unfortunately, you know, got divorced. You know, that's just, you know, when you burn your life to the ground.
Yeah.
You know, when you look back, my ex-wife was a really good person.
Yeah.
but I understand why she left.
Yeah.
And then I went on this journey. You know, I went to jail.
I went to jail. Fui a prisión. O fui a la cárcel.
You know, I went to jail
Okay.
for the night, and it was a New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
We had a big fight. I was drinking all day New Year's Eve, and the police got called.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't, you know, get charged with anything and stuff. It was more like it was a cry for help.
It was a cry for help. Fue un grito de ayuda por parte de su esposa. La única solución que ella veía era llamar a la policía y no era por mal ni nada, simplemente porque no sabía qué hacer. It was a cry for help. Fue un grito de ayuda.
It was a cry for help.
Of course.
And that's where addiction takes you, you know. It's from what I know now, like people need like the epiphany or the gift of desperation.
Yeah.
I learned it was called. So I spent a night in jail, and then when I came out the next day, I called my dad, and I said, "Okay, I'm done. I can see what's happening now. You know, I'm going to die. I'm literally going to die, or I'm going to end up in jail or a mental institution." So I went on this journey. And it's been 6.5 years. I have a great sobriety day because it's New Year's Day.
Yeah, of course.
So that was one of the reasons I came to Medellin, actually, to celebrate my 6 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Nice.
that's how I ended up
Dude,
here.
congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Really good. But it must have been hard work.
It's not easy. No, you have to really dig deep, and you know, a lot of people out there are struggling with different things, and if we're honest, a lot of people don't admit, just like I didn't admit,
Yeah.
you know, in denial. You know, I've learned from my business partner when I had a business in LA, in a treatment business.
Yeah.
And she's my therapist, she's a great woman. And she says when something happens to us from around, I think it's the age of around about 4.
Yeah.
If we go through a trauma and we don't deal with it, it can stay with us.
Yeah.
So now, part of the way I live is just try and encourage people, and you never tell people what to do or try and drag them to something. It's more, this is what I did.
Yes.
This is my experience.
Exactly.
And that's the basis of how you're going to help someone.
One of my best friends, he's been sober for 7 years too.
Yeah.
And he said that the main thing, the first thing you need to do is to deal with the trauma that caused the start of the addiction. That's the first thing you need to do.
100%.
Okay. Wow.
So, I mean, it's a case of like, the first 3 months for me was probably the worst experience ever because you literally don't know how to live.
Well, what was your trauma? Was it that accident
It was
in the stadium?
But I also lost a child in the same year when I was really young. So, you know, 2 big events that I completely suppressed.
Yes. It's normal as men. We tend to suppress.
It's normal as men, we tend to suppress things. Es normal como hombres, tendemos a suprimir, tendemos a alejarnos de nuestros traumas y dolores porque no queremos parecer débiles, lo cual es muy estúpido. Pero bueno.
It's normal as men. We tend to suppress.
Oh, absolutely, because we're supposed to be the alpha or the masculine, and you know, in professional sports, you would never go into your manager, your coach, your teammates and cry in front of them and say, I'm really struggling. Now there's a lot of help out there, and you see on, you know, social media, for example, which I love. One of the things I love social media for, I stay away from the negative and I follow all the positive, and there's a lot of help now, and people are, you know, discussing it. But back in the day,
en el pasado, en mi época, back in the day,
that wasn't the case. And also, no one gives us a manual on, like, you know, here's a book how to deal with this or that. So yeah, it was really, really difficult. But then I think it was after about 3 months, it was like the lights went on. I do believe in God as well. I always have done through my grandparents. And I really tapped into that because the program I did was a spiritual-based program. And it was called Alcoholics Anonymous. And the way the literature is worded with that is a God of your own understanding. So basically, if you're an atheist or you just don't believe in God or, you know, whatever, it's just thinking there's a higher power out there. You know, we live in a universe of energy, etc., etc. You hear a lot about that now. But I bought into it.
I bought into it. To buy into something quiere decir comprar la idea, empezar a confiar en algo. I bought into this idea. Yo empecé a confiar en esta idea, en esta solución a la adicción.
But I bought into it. And then, you know, now I couldn't have a better life. Just in terms of mentally and the way I feel, because all the work is within. Yeah. And I've been down the road of having nice things. Yeah. House, nice car, money in the bank. Yeah. A certain amount of success, you know, as an athlete or being in business for a while. But it really doesn't mean that lot. No. A lot. No. It's nice to have. I'm not dismissing any sort of monetary gain that we have, because we all want to make money. Yeah. But if you're not feeling good inside, and I know this from people who've got a lot of money, really wealthy people, that some of them are really miserable. Yeah. Because they haven't really done the inner work on themselves, and they've had stuff that they haven't dealt with. Yeah. So it's a great journey, you know. And celebrating in Medellin was pretty special because we know Medellin's a bit of a party town. Yeah.
How did you end up here in the first place? So what brought you to Medellin?
So my friend has got a girlfriend here. And I lived in America 14 years, New York, LA, Miami, and I'm tired of the US for many reasons. And I was looking for a way out, to be honest. He said, I'm going to go to Medellin mid-December till mid-January. Yeah. Why don't you come with me and celebrate, you know, your 6 years sobriety in Medellin? I said, okay, yeah, why not? So I thought, okay, I think maybe I could live there, because he spoke so highly of Colombian people, the climate, Medellin, how great it was. I said, okay, let me go for a month and see if I could live there. Yeah. So we came, I saw quite a lot. I got educated on, you know, how it can be here. All my friends back home are like, why would you go there? You know, because they know I'm in recovery. And I know I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. Yo estaré bien.
And I know I'll be fine. And I was obviously fine. Yeah. And then I came home, I went back to Miami, and I made a plan. I said to my friend, I'm going to live there. Give me 2 months. So I had to settle up some things in the US.
I had to settle up some things in the US. Tenía que arreglar unas cosas en los Estados Unidos.
I said to my friend, I'm going to live there. Give me 2 months. So I had to settle up some things in the US. Yeah. And I have 2 friends here initially. And I took the chance with that. Yeah. And that's what I did. I took a leap of faith.
I took a leap of faith. Yo di un salto de fe. Se dice, ¿no? ¡Ja! Primera vez que una expresión se puede traducir literalmente. Woo!
I took a leap of faith. Yeah. It's a very interesting place. Yeah.
Now you have 3 friends.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm really grateful for that. So, yeah, I think the only thing that bothers me a little bit is the stigma.
The only thing that frustrates me is the stigma. La única cosa que me frustra de vivir aquí, en Colombia, en Medellín sobre todo, es el estigma o la idea que la gente tiene de los extranjeros. I didn't come here to fool around. Yo no vine aquí para perder el tiempo, para jugar con drogas, alcohol, comprar sexo, todas esas cosas, ¿no? Y eso es lo que a él y muchos de nosotros extranjeros no nos gusta, esa idea que los locales aquí tienen de nosotros, que solo venimos para eso. Hay mucha gente que lo hace y yo entiendo el estigma, pero no me gusta, es lo que es. Esperaremos que mejores extranjeros llegarán a Colombia para que esa idea no se establezca más, pero es lo que es. No se puede juzgar todos igual.
I think the only thing that bothers me a little bit is the stigma. I'm sure you've been through it with, you know, the gringos, and we only come for one reason. Yeah. It frustrates me. Yeah. Because I know the man I am, and I really didn't come to Medellin to fool around. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't party. I came to Medellin because I really love the people. I love the Latin culture. Yeah. I'm trying to learn Spanish. It's been a goal of mine to live in a Latin country. So as much as it can frustrate me at times, I sit at ease with it.
As much as it frustrates me, I sit at ease with it. Pero realmente no importa cuánto me frustra eso, el estigma, la idea que la gente tiene de mí, I'm at ease with it. Yo estoy bien con eso. At ease, en tranquilidad. Yo estoy en tranquilidad con eso. Ya no me afecta tanto. Yo pienso igual. Ya no me afecta tanto porque yo soy quien soy. Yo soy una persona y la gente no puede juzgarme sin haberme conocido. Entonces, todo está bien.
As much as it can frustrate me at times, I sit at ease with it. Yeah. Because I know who I am. Yeah. So if you want to give me the same stigma as, you know, maybe many others, then that's on you, because I live a certain way, and when you get to know me, you'll see how I live, and you'll go, yeah, you were right. Yeah. And I'm confident in that. So that's the only negative, I suppose, is having a bit of a label on us. Exactly. You know, as gringos, because I know yourself. You know, you're great, fluent Spanish, and you've, you know, integrated into life here, and you have a great life, and everyone I meet here is just so nice. Yeah. Because in America, like, you know, if you walk down the street in the US, no one will say hello. What I love here is every day.
Yeah.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Yes.
Buenos días, buenas tardes, you know? And
hasta luego when you get out of the elevator.
Luego. Yeah. But I don't know about you, but I think that's so heartwarming.
Yeah.
I think it's so heartwarming. Es tan reconfortante saludar a un extraño todos los días, todo el tiempo. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, hasta luego, ¿cómo estás? Es lo máximo. A nosotros nos encanta esa cultura de calidez, de buena onda. A eso a nosotros, los extranjeros, nos encanta.
I think that's so heartwarming.
Yeah.
Just to say hello to a stranger every single day.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's a really good experience.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's why most of us love it here.
Yeah.
Who come from our colder countries.
Yeah. And the climate obviously is, you know, and I think for my experience living in, you know, pretty hot places in the last two places of LA and Miami, weather's pretty good all the time. Once you've experienced good weather,
you don't want to go back.
And then you get to Medellin as well and you're like, hang on, it's like warm every day.
Yeah.
You know, okay, it might rain a fair bit.
It might rain a fair bit. Puede que llueva un poco, pero está bien.
It might rain a fair bit, but you know, that doesn't faze me. It's just like, oh, this is a really good place.
It doesn't faze me. No me molesta.
That doesn't faze me. It's just like, oh, this is a really good place, you know? So I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to go back home to see my family for a little while, but then I'll be back and just trying to make a life here. And in my recovery, we always say one day at a time, which is a great little quote to live by.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's great. And obviously, you know, we met in the gym.
Yeah.
Became friends, and I think that's the key as well. Just having good people in your life.
Yeah.
Because I tend to keep my circle really small.
I tend to keep my circle very small. Tiendo a mantener mi círculo muy pequeño.
Because I tend to keep my circle really small.
Yeah.
And I do that for good reason, really.
Yeah.
Because I just believe if you have a good circle of friends and you're good to each other, you got each other's back.
Exactly.
That's all you need, you know.
You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a really good thing for, I know the way I used to live. When I look back now, the people I had around me, and it was funny because when I did get sober, not one of them people that were in my previous life have called me up to say congratulations.
Really?
Yeah. Not that I don't need a pat on the back.
It's ironic, no?
It's ironic. It's amazing when you go on a certain journey in life, people fall away.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I'd like to mention is it's important to learn to be alone.
Yes.
Because what I've noticed, whether it's Medellin or Miami or anywhere else, with the dating game, for example, people are searching constantly and they don't want to be alone. What I think I mastered, which I'm really proud of, is I learned to be alone.
Yes.
So I don't need anyone.
Exactly.
I choose who I bring into my life now.
Exactly. And when you don't act out of necessity, people can feel that energy.
Yes.
And they want to be with you more.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And it's easy to let people go. And you know, you don't have to be nasty. It's not about saying anything. Yeah. It's all about vibration and energy.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. If you have really good people around you and you can tell a difference. It's a great experience. Yeah. So
man, thank you so much for taking your time to tell your story.
You're welcome.
Dude, this was amazing.
Pleasure.
Amazing.
Ok, ¿qué pensaste de esta entrevista? Increíble, ¿verdad? Esa historia de Michael me quedó sin palabras. Seguramente vieron que yo no hablaba nada durante toda la entrevista porque estaba tan capturado por la historia de él. Así que espero que te haya gustado igual y que sigas consumiendo mucho inglés en tu día a día porque esa es la clave para mejorar tu inglés. Sigue escuchando entrevistas, podcasts, audiolibros, películas, series en un nivel de inglés que entiendes, súper importante. Entonces, si todavía no has llegado al punto que tú puedes poner estas entrevistas y entender mínimo el 50%, lo cual es el requisito para que realmente sea un aprendizaje efectivo, te recomiendo que empieces primero a construir tu base con historias interactivas. Ese es mi método principal que estamos usando en mi curso para llevarte a ese nivel de escucha y comprensión que tú puedes sentarte y ver esas conversaciones y entender la mayoría. Porque es cuando llegues a ese punto que el aprendizaje sea automático. Cuando ya tienes un nivel de inglés alto, que puedes entender la mayoría de lo que estás escuchando con subtítulos en inglés, el resto de la jornada la fluidez inglés es fácil, es solo continuar consumiendo, pero tenemos que construir esa base. Eso hacemos de la mejor forma con historias interactivas en mi curso de inglés. Así que en la descripción aquí abajo he puesto el enlace para la página de compra de mi curso. Revisa toda la información ahí y arranca con toda, porque tienes una prueba de 2 semanas. Entonces puedes probar todo el curso, todo lo que viene con él por 2 semanas enteras y así poder tomar una decisión informada y decidir si quieres continuar con el curso o no. Si no te gusta por cualquier motivo, nos mandas un mensaje y te reembolsamos el 100% tu inversión. Entonces no hay ningún riesgo, puedes probar todo el curso por 2 semanas enteras y luego tomas tu decisión. El enlace aquí abajo en la descripción. Espero que te haya gustado muchísimo este video. No olvides suscribirte para ver más videos como este y dale like también para apoyarme a mí a alcanzar más personas con este video y juntos trabajamos hacia esa visión de un Latinoamérica donde no hay una sola persona que no hable inglés. Gracias.